All right, welcome back. It's time for Good Vibes. And joining us once again, Debbie Cox DeNova. Wait, whenever Debbie's here, I have to sit up straight and project because she talks about this a lot.
Yeah.
All right, Debbie, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, good. I know it's been a busy day, but I want to jump right into the topic because setting a magnetic vision. And I always tell people to go, and is Debbie always that vibrant in person? I said, that and more. So you set a magnetic vision.
Yes.
What's that all about?
So we know as humans, especially during this time of year, people like to set resolutions, goals, right? And we already know, research shows us that when you set a goal, you're more likely to achieve it. If you don't know where you're going, then you're always there, right? Mm-hmm. So when I talk about setting a magnetic vision, I'm talking about a vision that feels like it's pulling you toward it, right? So that you're actually in movement and motion toward it. Because the problem is that most people, even by now, have given up on their resolutions because they set a vision and then somewhere along the line, their old programming takes over and they continue on doing what they're doing. So we don't want that in 2022. We've got enough obstacles. So let's talk about setting a magnetic vision instead. Now, here's the downside. Well, here's the part where the mind, parts of the mind, the subconscious mind, don't want to cooperate with this. Because most people kind of know what they want. It's fuzzy, right? Their aim is fuzzy. And the value to the mind about having a fuzzy aim is that the failure is also fuzzy. So you don't really know where you're aiming, but also if you fail, you kind of don't know that you're failing either. When you get super clear on your aim, Jordan Peterson says that the failures get super clear as well, which is scary from the mind's perspective. Remember, we talked about the subconscious mind's job to keep us safe and secure. And that means not changing or not going out into the unknown or the risky. So anything, even if it's supposed to be good for you, that is outside of the known, the subconscious mind will put brakes on it. Okay? So we all have aims. We all have things that we want. The people that I coach who have the least satisfaction in their life, there's a fuzziness around what they want. Now, we're programmable by design. We can't help but be programmable. The question is, are we going to participate in that programming or not? Up until the age 7, the answer is no. So we have talked about this before. Before the age of 7, we're in theta state with the brain. It's imagination. It's also a highly programmable state, right? So if you happen to have really good parents, then you're fortunate enough to have the right kinds of a lot of the right kinds of programming. But there's still some stuff mixed in there that you may want to have a look at. Some of us are not so lucky, and the programs that we were dealt are not great at all. And then so after age 7, our brain starts to come online to a more conscious state. But by then, we're already operating out of programs and belief systems. Remember, our own reality, right? Reality, the data of reality would be too much for us to handle. So we're designed to sort of create our own reality to keep us functioning. So by the time that we are adults, we've already had all of these programs, good, bad, right, or wrong, that are within us, okay? Now, depending on whether or not you actually use the science of metacognition and you look at that, you might set an aim and not recognize that a program that's running in the background is inconsistent with that. A belief that maybe, people who have a lot of money are selfish. Or greedy, right? And if you have that, if that was installed in your programming before, and you're looking to create a life of wealth, those two things are going to play tug of war, and your subconscious mind is going to win unless you are aware of what's going on and you reprogram yourself.
You know, I always ask athletes, and I ask successful people all the time when I'm interviewing them, what drives you more, success or the fear of failure? So somebody going into the Super Bowl in short order, you said their goal is clear, win the Super Bowl.
Yes.
But the downside that becomes very clear is failure.
Yeah, the awareness of failure. And so, and really the best creators are in the creation mode, which means that yes, failure is absolutely possible, but their focus is so clear on what they're after that that's the way they drive. It's like driving on a road, right? And there's a wall on the side of the road. You don't want to hit the wall.
Right.
The worst thing to do is to go look at the wall the entire time and go, I don't want to hit the wall. But you're increasing the chances that you're going to hit the wall. The thing to do is focus on the road, and then the wall kind of disappear, right?
You know what Coach Jack Becker, my old basketball coach at Vanderbilt, used to use as an example? He said, if I put a 4x4 plank across this gym, and I ask all of y'all to walk across it, y'all gonna get on it and walk across it, and y'all gonna think I'm silly and it's gonna be a game.
Yeah.
If I put that same 4x4 200 feet off the ground and I ask you to walk across it, half of y'all won't even get on it.
Yes, I love
So the
that.
mind really plays tricks on you.
The mind really does. And what's great about that analogy is that if you set a very clear vision, a compelling vision, meaning that this is something that you want to experience, it has a lot of emotion behind it for you, it's meaningful to you. If you have a compelling enough reason in your mind for your vision, if you know exactly where you're going and why you want to go there, and I mean a deep and meaningful why, then it will pull you across. So you can imagine that plank, 10 stories up in the air connecting two buildings. And for example, if your child was on the other side and about to fall, no amount of obstacles within your mind is going to stop you from running across that plank and grabbing your child. The why is compelling enough. And so that's what you really want to think about whenever you are setting a vision is the why, is it connected to something that means something to you? Now, if you're able to set the vision for yourself and write it down, it's because they haven't put the awareness on what would be the most meaningful to them.
But at different ages, I would think that changes because as a young reporter, when I just started, get the story, get the story, get the story. Now it's not about just getting the story, it's about make sure you're very fair with the story.
Yes.
So make sure you take a deep breath. You don't have to get it out first. Just get it out right.
Yes, absolutely. And this goes to refreshing your vision. So a lot of people will set a vision, they'll write it down, and then they kind of forget about it. And the problem with that is the subconscious mind goes, check, we set the vision, so we're good to go. But then you're actually operating 95% of the time from the subconscious mind, which is old programming. Oftentimes, it's very negative programming. So you can imagine your conscious mind as a little ant, okay? A little tiny ant that operates 5% of the time. And maybe this ant just went to a self-help seminar and is really, really motivated to do something great. And he starts marching northward because he is going to do something great. You can imagine this little ant, and this comes from Peter Sage, by the way, this little ant marching on the back of an elephant who's headed southbound. The elephant is your subconscious mind. And this is the problem, is you can't just set it and forget it. You have to revisit it, and you have to hold it loosely enough that you're checking in all the time. Is this still inspiring to me? Does this still make sense to me? Because as you age, you start to get different perspective in life, right? So I can set a vision from right now, and I can gain just a ton of wisdom over the next year. And if I'm not revisiting my vision and I'm attached to a goal that no longer has meaning to me, then I will find dissatisfaction even when I get to the end result of that
You
goal.
mentioned the word wisdom, which is key because as you get older and you get more wisdom, isn't wisdom the fuel for what drives you in what direction?
Yes, absolutely. Ideally, right? And
Should
so
be.
It should be. And that's okay, because no matter where you are, whether you are coming from a place of wisdom or not, you step into the river from wherever you are. That's what I tell my clients. So they might be starting from a low vibrational place. And some people come and say, I don't really know what I want. I don't know what, well, here's the thing. We are absolutely vision makers, right? So what you can do is you can make a list of things you don't want. For negativity bias, we all know what we don't want. There are lots of things in our lives that we can identify that are not working for us. Make a list of those. Make a list of those specifically so that you can go to the opposite end of that, right? So if I have an undissatisfactory relationship with my partner, then I know that I want to create a healthy, vibrant relationship with my partner, and I can write that down, and that can be the aim. Problem is, if you don't do that, your subconscious mind will always be focusing on what you don't like, what you don't want, and because we are meaning makers and it programs the ascending reticular activating system, you're just in a feedback loop. You're actually recreating over and over, reinforcing those patterns and recreating what you don't want.
You said something that I always say. Like in meeting with people when we're building these facilities or any other facility, and the architect or the designer will come in and say, what do you like? I always go, show me some pictures. I can't tell you what I like, but I'll sure tell you what I don't like.
Yes.
And then we'll get to what I like.
There you go. Exactly. And look, the more you expose yourself to people who actually are experiencing close to what you want, the more ideas you will have about what it would look like for you. But what I tell people all the time, because you know about vision boards, and I coach people in creating vision boards, but intrinsic vision boards. So everything that we want, everything that we're aiming for, it's because we're associating a specific experience to it. Whether it's true or not, we associate, for example, maybe a big house with success, right? So maybe we're aiming for the big house because we want to experience success. So what does success feel like within the body? Whatever that experience, whatever your connection to that, because the subconscious thinks in images, whatever image elicits that experience for you, put that on the board, but also recognize that it can show up in so many different ways. If you're attached to the one way that it looks, then if there is a better way for it to flow into your experience, then you might be cutting yourself off from it. So hold it loosely, revisit it, refresh it, and protect it. With the vibrational ecosystem of your life is either going to support you in reaching your vision, or it's going to prevent you. The people you hang out with, the media that you consume, the environment that you put yourself into, all of it matters.
You know, that's a great point, because during all of this COVID, when I go home and watch Netflix, you know, sometimes you could watch a lot of shows that get you depressed, or you could pick a show that uplifts you.
Yes, absolutely.
Your choice.
It is your choice, and everything is programming you, so just keep that in mind.
All right, Debbie, we appreciate you joining us, as always.
Thank you.
And there you have it. Debbie Cox DeNova, magnetic vision. Practice it at home. You sit up straight, go to break, and we'll see you next time with Debbie.